I was far enough away, but I saw the shot on Charlie and then immediately saw the blood. And you start to feel your brain process where you're like, is this like a stunt? They put like a blood pack on him? And then, oh my God, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And that's when you start panicking and go.
I had the view where it's like I saw it hit him in the neck and I saw the blood shoot out and then I watched him immediately fall over. I mean, I was there, so I immediately knew that it killed him. Like the where I saw like the blood come out, I knew that he didn't survive that.
Jesse with Church Leaders. I'm here with Tim and Avery. You guys were both listening at the event that Charlie Kirk, when he was shot at Utah Valley University on September the 10th. So first question, and I know that this will not be easy, but kind of just walk us through kind of the events leading up to that and kind of what transpired, kind of like you guys were there. Obviously, unfortunately, I've seen the video. That doesn't even touch probably what you guys experienced. So, Avery, why don't you start and just kind of give us, you know, your experience of what
Yeah,
unfolded.
of course. Start off, I was a huge Charlie Kirk fan. I still am. I aligned with a lot of the things that he spoke about, especially him speaking to college students. When I found out he was going to UVU, um, I was really excited. I went to UVU. I graduated from there, so I was stoked that he was finally going to my school. So it was Wednesday, and I was working from home, and I was like on my lunch break, I'm gonna go stop by, and I got there pretty early, so I got a pretty good spot. I was like directly in front, about 25 feet back, and it was awesome. I was so excited, and then about 20 minutes in, second debater, the shot went off, and I watched it all happen, and then I feel like everything from there just was like a blur. But it was a pretty crazy day.
Wow. Now, Tim, what did you experience? Where were you kind of located and all of that when that went down?
Yeah, yeah, really similar to Avery, where I was just kind of working from home that day, and certainly familiar with Charlie Kirk, and had seen a lot of his content online, and was excited to check it out, and just kind of see the discourse, and hadn't been to one of his events before, so thought I would just kind of casually go for an hour or two, check it out, and then continue back home and get back to work. So yeah, I showed up on campus, and Avery's got deep connection to university, but I hadn't been to UVU before, and only moved to Utah like a year ago. But so excited that something like this was happening right here in our valley and in the town I live. So when I got to campus, then I was there probably 20, 25 minutes before he started speaking and before the event really started. So it didn't get quite as close or as good of a spot as Avery did. I was closer towards the back. You guys probably all seen the photos of the area, kind of a triangular shape almost, kind of has those
Yeah.
like grass stairs that go up. I was on that last stair, kind of closest to the buildings. It would be, I guess, on the left or like from Charlie's point of view, and Charlie's like right. So I was kind of like that last step up there, and just kind of a standing room, and yeah, just kind of wiggled my way up there. A lot of college kids, but honestly, folks of like all different ages. I was kind of
Mm.
surprised by that. I'm not a university student, wasn't a UVU student, just was part of the public that would go attend the event. So yeah, just kind of wiggled my way in there, and then immediately, I mean, within 10 minutes of me being there, then the crowd started coming in like behind me to where I look behind me, and it's just packed. That whole concrete area that y'all see in the photos, probably clear back to the buildings, that all
Wow.
started to fill in. So then you start to realize like how big the event is, and there wasn't necessarily like signs or anything like everywhere like around campus. It's just you start to see people all congregating.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so same thing. Like a lot of folks, you're just trying to uh, get that line of vision to Charlie, and
Hmm.
a lot of people taking photos and videos and stuff like that, and the audio quality wasn't great, so a lot of us couldn't hear him, especially towards the back. We could hear
Mm.
Charlie, but not necessarily the people asking questions. So a
Yeah.
lot of folks are yelling to like turn the audio up, and but we heard Charlie address the first question, and then the second questioner comes up, and yeah, and then obviously a gunshot goes off, and to me it just sounded like a really quick, like sharp crack, not kind of a loud echoing sound,
Hmm.
enough that it made you question it. That like, okay, that sounded like a gunshot, but could be a firework. You're obviously not expecting it,
Right.
and so it throws you off. And I mean, I saw Charlie recoil, and obviously saw the aftermath and everything that happened to him. So as he starts to go down, then that's when you start to feel your brain just processing like what is happening. And I think probably like everyone else in that crowd, you think the whole crowd's about to be shot up. You think, okay,
Mm,
this is a mass shooting event. This is going down.
mm,
And so I was part of the group since I was towards the back. We all started just running. So we ran behind us and kind of through one of the school buildings to then kind of get off campus. So I was part of the group that just bolted.
okay.
Versus it seemed like a lot of folks that were a lot closer. There's so many people so crammed, just kind of all hunkered down. So we're all just crouching, just expecting more shots to come off and just start running. So that's what I did.
Wow. And Avery,
Actually,
like,
yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna say
you were,
to add to that.
yeah.
After the shot went off, again, it did sound like to me a firecracker. I just feel like that's not something I expected.
Hmm.
So shot goes off, everybody kind of looks, and then you look back at Charlie, and it's like I had the view where it's like I saw it hit him in the neck, and I saw the blood shoot out, and then I watched him immediately fall over. So immediately after I kind of turned, heard the shot, looked back, and there was blood, I'd known that like, holy crap, a shot just went off, and it just, I mean, I was there, so I immediately knew that it killed him. Like
Mm,
the where I saw like the blood come out, I knew that he didn't survive
yeah.
that. So I was just like white in the face. And then this gentleman next to me, the second those shots go off, I'm freaking out. I went by myself. I didn't have anybody with me. And he immediately pulls me to the ground and he jumps on top of me and says, "Don't move." Because
Wow.
we didn't know if there was going to be more shots going off. I mean, that's the thing. We didn't know if it was a mass shooting. Like, am I next? Is the person next to me going to be next? Like, where do you ever hear that there's like one shot that goes off? It's usually, especially school shooting,
Right.
it's usually more. So I'm freaking
Right.
out. And then the young man next to me is trying to protect me, and he's fully on top of me, making sure that if there's another shot goes off, that it's going to hit him and not me. And I didn't even know him. We weren't talking really. I mean, we had talked a little bit in the beginning about how excited we were to hear Charlie and that we've seen all the content and we finally get to experience it. And then he helped me up and he rushed me out and was like, "Run like as fast as you can." And then he went back in to go help me up.
Wow.
So that
That's
was
crazy.
yeah. I didn't know him. He didn't know me, but his first thought was to protect, which I
Wow.
think was just the most heroic act you could do in a situation like that.
Right. Right. Now, we've seen like, trying to think like how to go into the next question. You know, let me ask this: how was it? And Tim, we'll start with you. How was it witnessing this? You know, how has it affected you personally? So, you know, spiritually, emotionally, you know, share like what we're, how far away are we? I'm thinking 2 weeks, right? We're 2 weeks from that. How has that affected you and how are you processing it?
It's a good question, especially if you haven't been through something like that before, either just some sort of extreme trauma or even just like that feeling of kind of running for your life and like that level of adrenaline, let alone the visuals of literally seeing someone murdered right in front of your eyes. And Avery was so close and had a very graphic perspective of it. I was far enough away, but I saw the shot on Charlie and then immediately saw the blood. And you start to feel your brain process where you're like, is this like a stunt? They put like a blood pack on him, and then, oh my god, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, and that's when you start panicking and go. And it's amazing. I love the story that Avery shared of the young man that, really jumped and tried to protect her, because I felt almost like loss of control. Like it's amazing
Mm,
to hear of stories of heroic people or even law enforcement in scary situations like that, because that adrenaline flood, it is so hard to control like what to do next. Like Avery said, it's like a blur. Like once that
yeah.
happens and we think back on the event, it feels like a blur. But there's kind of two main things that I've seen that kind of affect almost like your psyche afterwards. One is the visual, is like it's graphic, seeing someone murdered. And to those of you that have seen the video, right, it's a lot of blood. Charlie was wearing a white t-shirt. It's very vivid. It's middle broad sunny afternoon. So your brain's visually processing that not only at the event but for days after. And then, like I said, that adrenaline dump, like that rest of the
Mm,
afternoon of that day was getting to safety, and then just contacting people from work and community and stuff like that, and make sure everyone's okay. So you're just kind of high on that adrenaline of just trying to get like logistics and make sure everyone's okay. And for me, it was the next day where things started to set in, where you're like, oh my gosh, I just saw someone get shot. And regardless of who it was or where it was or anything, like no human should ever see that.
Right.
And and unfortunately, there's lots of people that have, especially even outside of like a war setting, and it makes you just feel for people. Um, and honestly, the next day we had a kind of a celebration here at work, not about that, but
Hmm.
for a company accomplishment that we had planned for a long time. And so I thought that would be good to come to, and just kind of be around people and friends and coworkers, um, and just kind of take the mind off. But we had this point, and I started to feel it, like just the heaviness throughout the day, and I was nervous about being in crowds. And we had this point where we had um, like we released like balloons and had like confetti and stuff over this
Hmm.
company accomplishment, and these little confetti poppers went off, and I lost it. And like meaning like I my body reacted to these sounds. It was like pop, 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 and we had a few hundred people together, and then everyone's putting off this like confetti, and I didn't even think about it. And then in that moment, I literally hit the ground, and then I ran. My body went like
Wow.
that fight or flight. It literally felt like the day over, all over again, over something so silly, just little party poppers. But the sounds triggered me, and that rest of the afternoon, I was just kind of like wrecked. And so after
Yeah.
that, I realized, wow, that really is, really have those effects of that
Yeah.
PTSD. And then the next few nights, just struggling to sleep, and you start to see that visual of Charlie just getting shot, just kind of over and over. And I would
Mm.
imagine even people that have seen the video probably experience that. But
Yeah.
each day it does get a little bit better, and been able to kind of go about normal life. But the symptoms that people talk about with trauma, PTSD,
Hmm.
just feelings coming up, anger, sadness, frustration, all that stuff just comes up out of the blue. So it's kind of caught
Right.
me off guard, but it's taught me to take it seriously.
Thank you for sharing that, Avery.
Yeah. That Wednesday, I had probably more emotions than I've ever felt in my entire life. And I just remember the first emotions were just like one, disbelief and utter shock. Like I never felt so shocked in my entire life. After I finally got out and my car got stuck at UVU just because it was in the heart of it, and the police, once they'd gotten there, weren't letting anybody out. So I kind of got out before the police got there, but it was just so heavy. Like I felt it all day. I pictured it. Every time I blinked, I just could like see it. And kind of like Tim was saying, how it's like you didn't really think it was real until it was like, holy crap, like
Mm.
I just watched a human being get like murdered in like cold blood, which is something you never really expect to see. And I think the hardest part that made it so hard to just not remember is, I mean, we witnessed like a national assassination, and it was all over TV. It was on the news. It was on my Instagram feed. It was like everywhere I looked, everywhere I talked, it was like, did you
Mm.
hear? Did you hear? Did you see this? And it was like, I felt so many emotions after of like, why didn't I look around? Like when I got there, like they showed on the news where the shooter had been perched versus
Yeah.
where the line went to hit him, and I was in that direct line, which I just the most emotions of like, if he had missed, what are the odds that would have hit me? Or if he kept shooting in that same line, if he
Yeah.
even pointed his gun down, like that would have been my life too. And then I started feeling all these other things like, how am I so relieved that I made it out when someone else didn't? Like someone else just lost their husband and their dad, and I'm feeling gratitude that I made it out. So then it's like this mix of like survivor's guilt, like what made me so special that like I made it out okay.
Right.
It was just also like Tim was saying, like PTSD, like at first I thought like, am I overreacting? Like the day it happened, I would just like sob for hours, and then I'd be completely fine. And then I would imagine again instant tears. And it was like that for like the next 2 days. Like I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was like, why can't I get it out of my head? But then I had enough family and friends that were like, what you're feeling is normal. Like you just witnessed what people have to get help, like therapy,
Yeah.
counseling. Like you witnessed what other people need severe help on, which
Yeah.
I guess comforted me, but also not, because I was like, sweet, can't wait to think about this forever.
Right.
But
Right.
it was just, I mean, it's still hard to like see it all over the news, and as you go into the rabbit holes of all the conspiracies, like what happened, what really happened, where was the shooter, like if I would have just turned my head right behind me, it's like I could have seen him. And it's like I, I try not to beat myself up, but I'm like, why was I not aware? Like, why did I not like look around or
Mm,
look to my right or look behind me? Like, I could have seen him. I could have done something if I would have seen it. But it's heavy emotions. And I feel like the way I've been able to cope with it is I'm very religious, and I've just been leaning on um, my religious practices to kind of help take that burden and put it on, God to
yeah.
help steer me through it. But it's
Right.
just something you
Right.
never expect to have to go through, and it's tricky because I don't know how to navigate it. My husband, he's never, been with someone who's had such traumatic experiences, so like
Hmm.
he wants to be there for me. He doesn't know how, and I don't know how either because I don't know how to ask for it because I have no clue how to move on.
Right. Right. And I'm sure, like you mentioned it, and what both you guys do, and even the ages that you guys are, social media is a huge thing. So, obviously that's a major, like you say, trigger of getting on there because your guys' feed, like you said, you followed, your uh, appreciated Charlie Kirk. So obviously that's in your algorithm, if we said it that way, which we know that works. So those things are pulling up constantly and reminding you and giving that. Is that something where you've had to like, been like, I've got to put this down because I can't look at it? Is that something that has affected you just with the social media part of it?
Yeah, for me, I realized, I mean, the whole weekend after, I don't even dare check my screen time because it would probably be through the roof, but I couldn't get off social media.
Mm,
I mean, every single reel, every single thing on my explore page was about Charlie Kirk. And then it would spark emotions of like anger, like seeing so many people be so hateful towards it. And it would trigger me because I'm like, why are you speaking so negatively on something that like college kids had to witness?
yeah.
Like, and not even college. I mean, it was majority college kids, but like the family next to me had kids with them, and I'm like, how are people cheering for this? How are people celebrating this? And so it was like I would get so angry on social media, and then I would get emotional about how many people, like his family, that had to suffer, and I was just every free second I was scrolling because there would be a new conspiracy or a new thing that came out. The shooter was here, the shooter was this person. And I mean, I saw it firsthand. So it was like, to me, that day, I was real news. Like, I wasn't waiting for the
Wow.
TV to come out and say this happened. I was like, I know what happened. And Instagram,
Right.
social media doesn't let you forget it. So I finally just had to stop. I was like, I can't be on it. I want to be on it, so I deleted it. And once I deleted it, it just slowly started getting better. Like I wasn't having nightmares at night anymore. I could finally sleep. I could finally think about things I used to think about. I could start, you know, going back to my everyday lifestyle, but I couldn't do that with social media because it just kept me in this bubble of almost
Mm,
like misery. So,
yeah. Yeah. Tim, is that kind of similar for you as well?
Absolutely. I don't have a whole lot of social media accounts, but yeah, like anyone, I have been online, and there was a weird part of staying up on the news that was like cathartic.
Mm,
And I think even watching videos of Charlie, not necessarily from that day, but just his prior content and things like that, was a level of cathartic. But then also, like Avery said, like there is that point where it's like you feel it kind of consuming like just your brain and your thoughts. And there are times you're like, especially like on the weekend, right, when you didn't have like work or other things to distract you as much, and realizing like I got to close the screen. I need to like go
mm,
outside and go for a walk, or
mm,
reach out to a friend and meet up or something like that. That definitely had to have those times. They just have to be introspective and just kind of watch like your brain. There's points like where I wanted to, especially in those coming days when we were like, do they have the shooter? Do they not? What further evidence
yeah.
do they have? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Plus, like, we're right here in, in Orem. And so, like, there's every news station is here in town at the campus. I
Mm,
mean, there's FBI still around. Like, there's just all this hubbub for those few days. Like, so it's just all here. So it like you had to be really intentional to unplug yourself. And sometimes I found myself I wouldn't do that very well, and then learned after several days like You really have to. Um, it's so important for just being able to kind of keep your sanity
Right.
from it, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
Now,
and like Avery said, it is weird because you saw it in real time. So then, as false information comes out, you start to recognize it. Like
right.
that's not what happened. Or you hear a broadcaster on national news talk about something, and not that there was anything very wrong, but there would
Hmm.
be small details like that's not true, that didn't happen, or that wasn't
Mm,
there. So it's
mm,
interesting when you catch those.
right. Well, and that, yeah, that kind of leads me to my next question because unfortunately, I knew Charlie to a point. I know his team really well,
Hmm.
and I can say that I know him well enough that a lot of the claims about him, right? Uh, he's a white nationalist. He's a bigot, and these things like it started to affect me. And I wasn't even there. It's like that's completely untrue because I knew who this person was personally. And so how has it been? Because that's all over the place, and I'm sure you guys have seen it as well. How has that been? What would you say to people that are, I would say, painting Charlie in a way that is not true?
I think for me, it would just be listen to his content. I mean, all of his words were taken, I think, from the left side out of context. Like him saying that he doesn't believe women should get an education. I think for me, it was like he's not saying women shouldn't be educated. He's stating that he wanted men to step up and, you know, provide for their wives, provide for their families. And for so many people to have so many hateful words about, he's racist, he's a Nazi, I think that is one thing that just like makes me so angry because I'm like, clearly you just listen to the media, you listen to what you're told, and you haven't even given a second thought to listen to a full, I mean, debate or full one of his videos that he puts out.
Yes.
So
Right.
I just think it's do your own research, stop listening to other people, stop listening to the media. But also, there's so many claims where I'm like, how could you be so passionately hateful to someone who again preaches the gospel? I mean, the thing
Mm,
he was talking about before he got shot was he was literally talking about God and Jesus and how much he loves the gospel and how much he wants to share that and share the beliefs. So for people to say so many hateful things and like the media to say so many things that are just so false, it just almost makes me want to look at those people and just be like, I'm gonna pray for you that you can finally see the light because the way that you're thinking and the way you're living is so dark that
mm,
if you're gonna put this man in that category, it just to me it just felt so disrespectful.
mm. Tim.
Completely agree. Absolutely agree with what Avery said. I think the hardest part for me is seeing any sort of damaging rhetoric come up, not only just about like Charlie's character, but even just like as a person. It's
Mm,
like we saw someone's husband, someone's father just get murdered, and regardless of politics, belief, or even the spiritual side, bringing up any sort of toxicity from that is exactly the problem.
mm,
When it comes to Charlie, I mean, Erica Kirk has said it in her following speeches since. His message has only gotten louder. It's like they literally took out the guy who was inviting the discussion, who
mm.
literally said, "You disagree with me? Come to the front of my line. Here's a microphone. Tell me what you got to say. I'm
Yeah.
here for it." They
Yeah.
literally took that guy out. So regardless, I mean, if there's a time for our country to preach unity and we're all sending our thoughts and prayers and just got to be together, I mean, it is times like this. And unfortunately, in these last few weeks, there's been multiple tragedies in this country, which
Yeah.
have been horrific. Some have been very political and on both sides, and some haven't been as politically charged. But regardless, people are dying in our country at the hands of us, Americans killing Americans, and we've got to put an end to that. This is a culture problem above anything else,
Mm,
and it starts with us and how we at this point react to these things.
yeah.
Yes, we should be putting our thoughts and prayers there. We should also be putting positive rhetoric, like This isn't the time to be um, looking for those further divides,
Yeah.
right? And it's
Yeah.
really hard, especially for folks like Avery or myself, that like we wanted to see Charlie, right? Like we were already like kind of fans, and then to even hear of and then see that there were celebrations of that,
Mm.
absolutely like mind-boggling. Again, even politics aside, like someone was killed.
Yeah.
Someone thought this was a reasonable like response.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Yeah.
debate him, so they killed him. And people are like, "Yes, I stand behind that." I just could you go up to his two daughters? Could you go up to Charlie's kids and say that
Yeah.
to their face? I sure would hope not. So that's
Right.
what has affected me the most, or like where I feel the most. And so it just pushes me to just try and show love and share the gospel in that way. And it's so hard to offer
Mm.
grace, to offer forgiveness, to be kind, and to not reciprocate hate with hate. And we just kind of keep going these like hate tornadoes, just this hate cycle as a society. And from the rhetoric online or whatever it may be, it's like I refuse to bring more hate to the hate that is already being brought.
Yeah.
I just refuse
Yes.
to participate in that and
Yes.
exacerbate it. And
Right.
I think that it's up to every single one of us individuals to bring that support, that positivity. You know,
Yeah. That's good.
um,
That's good. Especially the church, right? Especially Christians who are supposed to be about the love and everything. Unfortunately, that's kind of where I'm seeing some of the bigger hate, where they can't get past the political stuff, even though we're singing the gospel go forth. So yeah, I know exactly where you guys are sitting on that. Um, what is something as we kind of wrap up here? What do you want people to that work there, physically there? Okay, what do you want them to understand about that day?
I'll go
Tim?
first.
Yeah, go for it, Tim.
sure. Um, what I hope that people understand from this day, if you haven't ever been in a scenario of any sort of shooting like this, um, is that absolutely violence is not the answer.
Mm,
Charlie said many times throughout his content and his rhetoric, when we stop talking, when the conversation stops, that's when violence starts. This is what he meant by that. They couldn't debate him, so they killed him, put an end to it. What good did that do? Whoever shot him just ruined their life and their family's lives more than likely, let alone the Kirk family. But they didn't silence his message, they didn't silence him. You saw how many hundreds of thousands of people came in person in Arizona to celebrate this life and his mission and be behind that, all the way up to the top leaders of the free world, let alone millions and millions of people streaming this online. And this was only a few days ago. I
hmm
mean, his mission is has a wildfire. So, uh, regardless of where you are with politics or beliefs or anything else, this literally starts with individuals. This starts with us pouring into our friends, our family, our communities, and young guys or whoever shot Charlie. That is who needs to be poured into.
mm,
Look out for those people in your life that are either going deep online, right, into the bowels of the internet and being infiltrated, their minds being infiltrated. I don't even care what sort of political or social ideas are getting
hmm
implemented. It's the fact that someone thought that this was okay to kill someone. And this is not, and Avery and I saw that firsthand, a life taken right in front of us. And then all of us dealing with that trauma
Yeah.
of seeing blood pouring out of someone's neck as they fall to their death, who didn't have weapons and who was simply having a conversation and inviting
Wow.
the opposite to have that.
Wow. Avery?
Um, for me, I think I would just want people to know about that day that, like what happened was an attack on our free speech. I mean, one thing that Charlie talked about was like the second you start stopping free speech with violence is when it becomes an issue, and that's exactly what happened. Like Tim said, I feel like I just want to ditto everything he said, but I think Charlie was doing so many amazing things, and he was switching the minds and the beliefs of young people, young college students. He was, I mean, that was his whole thing about going to colleges is he wanted to connect and debate. He just wanted conversation. He had no political power. He wasn't. I mean, he was a conversationalist and he believes conservative beliefs, but he had no power. He wasn't banning things. He wasn't hearing what the people were saying and making laws against it. He was a young man who wanted to preach what he believed and have
Mm.
conversations, and that got shut down. And I can't even put it to words most of the time that like violence is the issue. Guns aren't the issue. It's the people. It's people who have the guns. I once heard someone on the left side say, if you ban abortions, we're just going to go get them illegally. So what's this?
Hmm.
What's the difference with guns? If you're going to make them illegal, people are still going to find ways to do it. And it's the people. It's people who are holding these guns that are sick in the head. But I would just want people to know about that day that this isn't about the left versus the right. This is about people coming together. We're all people, we're all human. And whatever dark forces out there, they want everyone to pick a side. They don't care if you're picking the left side or the right side. They just want you to pick. And that's what
Yeah.
divides us. And the second we have that division is the second we become hateful towards each other and
Mm.
judgmental. And even those who are religious and say, love one another, if you are not loving your neighbor, you're doing exactly what, Satan would want. And Satan wants us
Exactly.
to divide. And I think politics is the perfect way to divide people. So I want people to stop blaming the left side and the right side for all this chaos that's happening and just, we're all people. We all want to be happy. So like why are we not coming together? Why are we pointing the finger and blaming and all being so hateful to one
Yeah.
another?
Yeah. You guys, this is, as we close here, this is probably the most important question I think that you guys can. I don't want to give you guys the mic because you guys have experienced this. You've seen this a couple weeks that are going on. And I want you to direct, you both have said that your faith is very important to you and that it's gotten you through where you're at now. I want you to direct your comments to Christians, to the church. What is something that you want them to make sure that they don't miss in this whole entire thing?
I can
Avery?
go first.
Yeah.
I think with this trauma that I've been dealing with, I tried going to a counselor once and it was fine. It was great. But the one thing that I realized this change was when I humbled myself and took it upon myself to ask the Lord to help. And I started doing more things that I was kind of lazy with. I was reading my scriptures. I was praying daily. I was attending my church meetings. I was like, I'm not going to get through this on my own. And I know someone who can help. And I just fell to my knees and I prayed and I was doing the things I was doing. And I've never felt so much peace of mind. So I would just want people to know that God understands and he knows you and he understands your needs. And in dark times like this, he is the light. I have
Hmm.
never felt the spirit so strong in my life. I've never felt God's presence so much in my life as when I gave it all up and said, I'm willing to do what I need to do for you to guide me through whatever else is coming with these trials, with these tragedies. And I just want people to know that he's the answer. He is the light in all of our life, and all good things come from God. And if it is not a good thing, then it is not from God. So I would just
Amen.
let this be my testimony and for everyone else out there that he is the answer.
Thank you. Yeah. Tim?
Absolutely, I agree. It's two things that I just keep hearing over and over and over. What the enemy meant for evil, God means for good.
Hmm.
We as humans don't always know why. That's always a really hard part of spirituality and pursuing your faith, is not always having all the whys, the answers to everything, especially when you're an analytical person. And that can be really hard as you continue to figure out who God is and your relationship with him. But I'm here to echo Avery and say he's 100% real. He knows you, he cares for you. I don't know why evil is there, but I do know that for light to exist, there has to be darkness for us to know what light is. And there is only one true way, and it is God.
Mm-hmm.
It is pursuing a life that is pursuing Jesus.
Mm.
That's the only way. We simply cannot do this on our own, get through life and be who we are. You are made in the image of the Creator, and you have incredible potential in you. And if you still have breath in your lungs today, God is not done with you. God has a purpose for you, and you should be pursuing Him and walk that out, because it is bigger than you could ever imagine. And from this tragedy, God will bring good. He already has. We are seeing tremendous good. And honestly, I think Charlie is just smiling down on this, because it is incredible seeing this revival happening. And I hope that that happens to every single Christian whenever we do die, because we know we all will one day, that these bodies are eventually going to die one way or another. I can hope that there is a celebration for Jesus in the same way that we've seen ever since then.
Mm.
And the last call would be to be a Christian, to spread the gospel to everyone around you through your lifestyle of just who you are. If you see young men struggling, I will echo Charlie's message that us as young men, we need to step up to be strong husbands, strong fathers, strong brothers, and strong sons.
Mm-hmm.
I fall short on that a lot, but I definitely feel inspired to just continue to pursue Jesus and being a strong man in him, because that's like the backbone of our society. We
Mm.
need to support and take care of the women in our lives, and we most of all need to be bringing up these other young men that are coming up below us, that are young, impressionable, and have access to the bowels of the internet. We need
Yes.
to help guide them to the word, to the gospel, and to seek that day in and day out. And it starts when they're young.
Mm. That's great. And
One thing I want
yeah,
to add on
Avery.
to
Yeah.
Tim was hopping on Instagram or social media that Sunday after. I was amazed to see how much content was people going back to church, people saying, I haven't read the Bible in 20 years, but I felt so prompted to start reading the
Yes.
Bible. Or I've never believed in God, but I've started going to church. And I just think, how amazing is it that someone as influential as Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, and people aren't rioting, people aren't burning things down, people are literally coming together in prayer, in worship, and congregating together. And I just think that that is the most beautiful thing that could have come from this, is a
Yeah.
whole new community of people joining the church, people reading their Bibles, people having an interest. I just think, when has that ever happened in history, or
Yeah.
someone so influential gets murdered and so many people come together in a peaceful way all around God? I just think that
Yeah.
that is amazing to me.
Amen. Amen.
Agreed.
Yeah, the things that we get to see from this is we're undeserving to watch it. Is how I can put it. I was undeserving to literally be there, and see what we saw at that memorial service, and God be glorified. People got saved. People are getting saved through this movement. And like you say, the revival that's happening. Praise God. That's period. Praise God, And so I want to thank you guys so much. I know this isn't easy to talk about it. I know that you guys are still dealing, obviously, with a lot of things because of that. And I don't say that lightly. I say that to our audience, to remember everybody that was actually there. There. Yeah, Charlie was the victim of the gunshot. I would also say that there's, what was there, 3,000 plus people there, it sounded as though, that are victims of the trauma that they saw. So there also is that, and for you guys to share your story and to share your hearts on that, I appreciate that, and thank you so much for doing so.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Jess. We really appreciate it.